Hey everyone, Sajeel Qureshi here with another episode of RevOps 500. I'm super pumped today. I'm talking to somebody who has worked in many different places in the HubSpot ecosystem. Is definitely a guru of the HubSpot platform. Dan Moyle, welcome to RevOps 500, man.
Sajil, thank you so much. Guru, huh? I don't know, man. That's going to set the bar kind of high here. I tell everybody I'm less Oracle and more librarian. But
Hey, librarians are gurus. If you ever can't find a book in a library, who do you go to? You go to the
yeah,
guru of that domain, right?
that's
So,
exactly it. I'm happy to
yeah.
be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Of course, of course. So Dan, let's get right into it. What is your biggest mistake?
So I want to know how many people say my ex-wife, my ex-husband, my ex whatever. No. When I was thinking about this, there's so many things. Like, two things come to mind. Number one, I've made plenty of mistakes, but I don't really have a whole lot of regrets. Not that that's what you asked me, but like,
Yeah.
so when I thought about this, I thought, okay, what do I really regret? I am where I am today because of where I've been. So my mistakes I try to learn from. And so here's the mistake that came to mind. It isn't necessarily a regret, but I made the mistake of chasing the title versus going after the work that I wanted to do.
Okay. And what do you mean by that? Like
Yeah,
what is like give me the specifics. Can you get into specifics? How detailed
absolutely.
can you get?
Yeah. So the title that I chased was CMO. I wanted
Oh,
to be that chief marketing officer. I went from TV news producer I was in TV news for about 10 years. My last title there was TV news producer. And I came into marketing right at the time that HubSpot was starting to take off and inbound marketing was becoming a thing. And so I went all in with it. I drank the Kool-Aid. I wore all the orange, whatever. Like, I loved that whole idea of inbound marketing and HubSpot. And so I had some great success. I was able to speak at the event in Boston, which is now called Unbound, several years in a row. I did all these things. I became that guru. Um, and I earned titles. I went from like marketing specialist to whatever to blah 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 to director of marketing. And I thought, man, I've been doing this a while. I've been working on budgets. I've been doing all this stuff. I want to be a CMO at some point. And so I chased that. And I went to a place where my title was CMO, but the work was not CMO work. And the
mm,
work was not marketing work either. And so I don't think that the person who hired me lied to me by any means, but I don't think that they were exactly honest with themselves about what they needed. And so I chased that title thinking that'll look good on my resume. And my year and a half, whatever it was that was there, wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And it
mm.
didn't prepare me for my next steps, and it didn't do what I wanted to get me to the next whatever. And so chasing that title just wasn't like, it was just, why did I do that?
Okay, so let's talk about it. So, you got the title that you wanted, but the JD wasn't what you wanted. The job description wasn't what you wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, what were you expecting to do as a CMO, and what were you doing when you were given the job as
Yeah.
CMO?
I expected to run the marketing, and I was walking into a business. It was an agency at the time.
Okay.
It is an agency, but it was the owner, and then me, and then some contractors that did the work.
Okay.
Right. So very, very, very small. Basically, a solopreneur, and then me. I expected to be able to build a marketing department. I expected to be able to run marketing, do advertising, help him speak on stages, maybe myself speak on stages, like this whole idea. Um, and so I figured I'd have a budget and I'd set that budget and I'd do all these things, right? Instead, I started off as what was going to be temporary of, hey, we really need to get our client onboarding process dialed in. And you're really good at communication, so we want you to do that. I thought, okay, that's great. And I enjoyed doing that work, but it wasn't marketing, right? And every time I tried to do marketing, I get pulled back to the same. And so it ended up being not temporary. And eventually that person said to me, our marketing budget is 20% of our entire operating budget, and it should only be like 5. And so I had to let you go because I can't afford you. I said, well,
Oh,
because like I can't do marketing. Like,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so that's how that went down.
Interesting. So it was more like an operational sort of role, like operations, customer success, not really like
Yeah,
marketing strategy
yeah,
and revenue and whatever. Okay. Okay.
yeah.
And now is that something you still want? I mean, do you still want like you still want that title? Do you feel like is that something you still long term a growth thing, or is it more you like being a consultant and kind of doing that kind of work?
Yeah, I don't really want it anymore. Um, and I feel in today's day and age, here we are in the year 2026, where
Mhm.
things like AI tools and CRO and go to market and all everything's changed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so while I do like CMO is still a great title, I think it's a great job. I think there still needs to be someone at that executive C-suite level talking about marketing and communications. It's just all different, and I don't chase that anymore.
Okay.
So to answer that question a little bit, here's a quick story. I was working at an agency a little while ago, and my boss at the time, several years younger than me, and he had asked me at one point, like, "How do you feel about working for someone younger than you?" And I said, "It's great. But don't even think about it."
Mm.
I mean, I was old enough to be his dad, basically.
Wow.
Like I'm
Wow.
getting that old nowadays. But I thought, yeah, but I
That's
did
like a
tell.
young CEO, not as much an old guy.
I
No, no,
mean,
that's a young CEO. I'm like, that's an impressive thing for that
uh,
person. Whoever that is, he or he
uh, but he was he's climbing the ladder. He wants to go from being the manager of this department to being this to being this. And I just told him one day, I said, look, just so you know, I'm not coming after your job. I'm at the point in my life where I don't chase the titles. I don't chase that up the ladder thing anymore. I enjoy doing my work. I enjoy doing good work. I want to be recognized for it, but I'm not doing that life anymore. And so so that's kind of where I'm at, right? I don't need that CMO title anymore. I enjoy being consultants.
Mhm.
I enjoy being just the person I am showing up and helping. If that leads to things like speaking engagements or maybe a title or something else, okay. But yeah, I don't chase the title anymore. I chase the work. I love what I do and where I do it, and that's what brings me the joy.
What exactly does Dan do now in terms of as a consultant that is different than what like a CMO or the title did? Like what is it in the what are the 4 or 5 bullet points that you love doing?
So I love helping people figure out problems.
Okay.
Um, I love teaching them things that I know or that I can find, or like I said at the beginning of this, I'm not an oracle. I'm a librarian. I love that part of my job, right?
Uh,
My current gig at Excellent is principal onboarding specialist. I'm a HubSpot trainer.
mm,
I still work in the HubSpot world. I've left it and come back. I really do enjoy it. I know the platform pretty well, but I also know where to find the answers and who to go to for other answers. So if I'm teaching you, Sajeel, how to use HubSpot, I'm going to teach you what I know. I'm going to share HubSpot resources. And then if you say, hey, how do I do this thing? And I don't know, I'm going to say, good question. I'm not sure. Let me check with a colleague. Let me see what I can find for you, and I'll get back to you. I love that part of my job. I love people's curiosity. I love helping them solve problems. So to me, that's much different than being that CMO of, again, running budgets, trying to be the hack everything together and go to market and do these things. Like that's all great work, but that's just not what I want to do.
and you only figure that out when you got what you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I guess
Right. Right.
it took getting what you wanted to realize you no longer wanted that.
Yeah. I
Interesting.
I do think some of that work still would be interesting, right? Figuring out again, if I had a brand that I really believed in, that I really wanted to take to market,
Yeah.
but again, that CMO to me is like rising to that level of I've built this team, and
Yeah.
now I've got these directors, I've got this VP maybe, and now I'm the CMO. Like I've built that. I don't want to just chase that title and walk into it.
Do you think that could be like a thing that many people who it's funny many people who are like a C-level executive they and if someone maybe a younger version or like a grasshopper karate kid came over to them and said, hey, I want to be a CMO or a CFO, CRO, CEO, whatever. I'll be one just like you. Most of them say, I've heard this, I heard a lot of people say this, they say don't. They say don't, don't do it.
Yeah.
It might look great from the outside, but it's not what you think it is, and like and those sorts of things. So what would you do now if if some, hotshot, marketer, marketer said to you, said, I want to be a CMO, just like you were at ABC company,
Yeah.
Dan, what would you say? What would you say to them?
I mean, the first thing I would ask is why. Tell me more
Why?
about why you want that. What are you looking for?
Uh-huh.
Um, if it's things like, again, like running budgets, creating reports, like you don't do marketing as a CMO. You do everything else. If you enjoy those things, great, then do that.
Yeah.
If you really want to do day-to-day marketing and then lead marketing strategy, right? Like maybe CMO isn't what you're looking for. Maybe it's more like a director of marketing or a something else. Um, I would ask them that question, and then I think I would talk them through like whatever you're looking for. Let's find those jobs to do and the companies that are doing that. Because like CMO at company A might be exactly what you're looking for. That's true. But
Right.
CMO at company B might be like, I've never touched marketing. I don't know any of the tools. I don't know.
Yeah.
So depends on what you want.
Depends on what you want. So yeah, you start with why, which is a very good place to start. Why do you want to do it? And they say, well, I want to do it because I want to do branding. I say, well, that's not what a CMO does, right? They manage
Right.
the people who do the branding. They manage the vendors and the budgets and and they give like a check mark at the end of the day or a check mark or an X, but they don't really do the whole, thought process and everything like that.
No.
So, like, where was I going with that? So, you get this job, CMO. It's not what you want, and then you go back into the day to day marketing activities. Now, would you say what you do inside of HubSpot or inside of like a automation tool? Do you get into strategy with people like leads, sales, awareness, and help drive those metrics?
Yeah, absolutely. So part of my passion when it comes to being a trainer, a customer education professional, an onboarding specialist, whatever you want to call me, is talking through the tactical, practical use cases of HubSpot in particular, but also the strategy behind that.
Okay.
Why are you doing what you do? How do you get there? What are you not thinking about? Not just, oh, how do I send bulk emails? Right. And I do love too that it's like everything, right? I came from the marketing side of things and I come from a storytelling background and all this and media. I've not been a salesperson. So I'd probably be a terrible director of sales. Probably be a terrible CRO that way too, right? But like I love helping sales professionals figure out this tool and think about those strategic paths to using it to help make their lives better. I love helping marketers, salespeople, executives, customer success professionals. And so that's what I love about what I do is that it's not one thing in particular. And then, yeah, talking strategy, like how do we figure out why we want what we want? How do we look around those corners? How do we get there? That's what strategy is to me.
And did you always love that, or did it change? I mean, did it change? I mean, or did you take time to figure out that's what you love doing in the marketing world, or what
Yeah.
was that adventure like?
I mean, I do love working on strategy.
Okay.
I like being a part of the conversations that about why we're going where we're going, vision meetings, that kind of stuff. Like that high level strategy, I love that. And then I also love being a part of the actual application of it. I want to actually get down and dirty and do the tactics that get us there. I learned that over years, right? I'm close to 50 now, and I've done this a long time. I've done um, different industries, different clients over the years. So I do love that. I think what I also heard in your question, Sajil, is that like, do I love this? How, how did I get there, basically, right? And and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and, and part of it is like I I don't even know. I fell into it, right? Like I have enjoyed each level that I've been at. I've enjoyed the different projects, the different companies, the people that I've worked with.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love working in all of it.
And when you now agency life can be very very tough, right? So
Yeah.
it's interesting you said, and you've been in different partner offices and well, Zoom calls, right? I mean, let's be honest, Zoom calls, partner offices, web meetings, and you've seen how they all operate, maybe somewhat the same, somewhat differently, subtle differences, remixes on the same sort of recipes. Uh, but it's hard, right? Because like it's a service business. It's a lot of churn, customer churn, teammate churn. You really do have to kind of love it to be in it. Like, what is it about the agency world, or like the solutioning, like this, like the services side of it, marketing services implementation? What is it that you love about that so much?
Um, some of it is that churn, right? Like I've been fortunate to work with some amazing clients over the years. And I know there are things about the work that I don't like. I'm not a good project manager.
Okay.
I don't like, I'm going to say this with tongue firmly planted in cheek. I don't want to babysit adults. I don't want to push paperwork, right? Like, I don't want that. But what I do enjoy is helping people get to where they're going. So I don't want to do true project management, but I want to be able to communicate. I love the communication. I love meeting new people. I am an extreme extrovert working from home. I want to talk to people. And so I've had the pleasure and the privilege of working with clients from all over the world, from across the US mostly, but from around the world, and learn it. Like you said, there's some similarities and there's differences.
Yeah.
Every brand is unique. And also every company is doing the same darn thing. They gotta make money. They don't like technology, right?
That's
But
good.
I mean, but I love that. Like, yeah, I like the uniqueness of it all. I don't want every day to be completely different. I do like structure. That's why I like training on
Okay.
one platform. I love HubSpot because I get to teach people this one thing, but it's different in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I love that. Now, like you said, the hard part is like there's churn, sometimes unexpected churn. There are unhappy clients. There are difficult clients. But I got my start in the profession in the job market as a busser and a server
Oh
at a
wow.
restaurant. Man, I've had some bad clients. So like whatever, it's fine, right? Um, but yeah, I just love that unique part of it. If I was an in-house marketer,
Yeah.
I enjoyed that back at the mortgage company, but like honestly, I'd get bored after a while.
Okay, so let's. I had a question in mind, but
Oh yeah.
what you said there just kind of threw me way off. Okay, so you know the in-house, the corporate marketer. Okay, let's call corporate marketer. You're saying that, is there a difference that? So I've always thought this, but I've never, I've never been. I don't have the same experience as you do, right? So is there a difference? And tell me what the day-to-day difference is between the in-house corporate marketer and the marketer at the agency level, who has multiple clients, stuff like that. How are they the same? How are they different? What are the pros of one, the cons of the other? Just take me through the whole.
Yeah.
Give me as much as you can on the differences and similarities.
So once upon a time, I used to think that in-house marketers were the way to go, and agencies were just this like succubus, this leech, this I don't need you. When I was the marketer in-house,
Mm-hmm.
and then I realized actually that agency person has experience with other industries that I don't eat, like that cross industry. Like I did this for this industry, it could work for you. And so back then I thought, oh, actually, there's a good mix then, right? Like I got over that whole no agency thing pretty quickly. Moving into the agency world, here's a couple of things that I've learned. In-house marketers have one brand basically, and they might have multiple brands within that company potentially, but
Yeah.
like that one brand, you do that one thing, and you can certainly have a variety of things that you do as a marketer: inbound, outbound, content, ads, all these things, right? Events, whatever. But you're doing all of that for basically one
Person, one brand.
client, right? Yeah. And that's great. If that's your focus, fantastic. If you believe in it, if you've got new products and new things, like that's great. To me, that gets a little bit stale after a while. And what I did enjoy about that is then I got to build a team and say to a team, hey, you're the designer, you go design stuff. You're the writer, you go write stuff. You're the analyst, bring me data and let's think strategically. And so I got to build a team and be that support person. I loved being a director of marketing. That's probably my favorite. It's got to lead the team and support them and help them be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as in the agency world, you have different clients. So you got to take everything that you've learned and apply it to different niches in business, different categories, different companies. And you learn that even, let's say you've got two landscaping companies, they're different. One does mostly landscape design and supplies. The other one does actual like mowing and
Yeah.
care of landscaping.
Yeah.
Different, right? And they may run their sales differently. They may think about marketing differently.
Yeah.
And so you get this constantly changing. And so you get to bring and I what I learned from me personally is I got to bring what I did at the mortgage company and what I did at the podcast interview marketing agency as like a PR firm, and what I did for this printer that I used to work for, all of that, I get to bring that to these clients and say, well, here's what I've done. This is a thing that you're trying to solve. Cool. I did that at this company, or I did this for this last client. So you get to bring experience to clients that they never would have thought of potentially as if they have one in-house marketer or one in-house marketing team. I think that's the biggest thing.
Interesting. Yeah, and maybe when you do one when you're director of marketing for one company, maybe you go very deep into an industry vertical, right? Like maybe it's funeral homes or it's mortgages or
Yeah.
hospitals. It's a very morbid topic. I understand those are morbid topics, but yeah, I mean, like,
We all need them.
yeah, yeah. You go into all of those, verticals. But if you're an agency, yeah, you could have a call with someone who's doing esports, and the next call is with like a landscaping company, and the next one is with a toy manufacturer, and there's three different companies with three different things, right? Three different things they're asking you to do. One's asking you to do live streaming for the metrics for their esports. One's asking you how to get more women to buy, toy steak knives. The other one's asking you how to get more landscaping jobs from this new housing development. How do I
Yep.
promote myself to them in an ABM campaign? So yeah, it's just interesting how that all has played out over the years. Let's talk about a bit about the future now. You're in the agency world a lot. How is AI impacting your day to day? How are you changing with it? What do you see happening at the agency level? Are you excited? Are you afraid? What are your emotions and all that stuff?
So for me personally, AI is a very complex issue. There are some really amazing things AI tools can do. Generative AI in general can do. I'm not necessarily the world is ending because we're going to have truly sentient AI soon, and we're all going to be in the matrix as fuel. Like, I'm not doing that,
Yeah.
but there are certainly, ethical concerns with AI. There are environmental concerns with AI, and I have that on my mind a lot too. I consider myself somewhat of an early adopter, leading edge type person, right? When new automation comes out, well, first of all, when HubSpot was brand new, I was there. I was there before anybody knew the term inbound marketing in any of my circle. I was like, this is what we're doing. Um, years and years ago, and in my personal life, I was on a leading edge of things like no dyes in foods, green smoothies, long before anybody knew. It's like I kind of
Okay.
had to think a little bit ahead.
Yeah.
So I feel like AI is that right now, right? But I also don't love the hype cycle of certain things. The bubble, the hype cycle, the everybody's talking about it because it's just the best thing ever. And I'm like, hold on, like, is it the best thing ever? So I'm leading edge, but I'm also just a little bit pragmatic. So in the last couple of years, as AI has really taken the forefront, I have a little bit of a complex relationship with it because I love it. On one hand, I use it. I like tools like Perplexity to do research, Claude to do some like outline writing for me as a writer. I don't want to take on my job, but as a writer, I love some of the tools that it has to help me write better and maybe faster.
Mhm.
Um, I've seen people use Claude for coding and do some amazing things. I love how far HubSpot has come with their AI. Some of their agents they have in their portal, some of the Breeze AI assistant that has
Yeah.
come so far. It answers so many questions. Like, it's great. So I definitely have a more positive than negative, but it's still complex, right? I worry about when I have queries in AI, am I using too much water? Can I just Google this with a simple Google search instead and think for myself? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, but what I'm excited about is this though. Like, so HubSpot as a tool, as a company, as a platform, is thinking ahead. Get really smart people thinking about not just like, hey, let's just use AI everywhere, but I think that they're thinking, how can we use AI strategically? How can we use it to help rather than simply replace? Um, how can we make lives easier for our customers? And like, what better way to run a business than that, right? Um, our company Excellent is doing some really cool AI like competitions and testing, and we share all of our learnings with each other, and it's really cool to see what Paul did with AI, what did Caitlin do with AI, what did Joshua with AI. Like, this is amazing, and I'm sitting here going, but I just do queries. how can I do more? And so it's inspiring to like think how to build more. I'm not a developer, I'm not a coder, but how can I build with these tools? And so I love that part of what we're doing. I think it's incredible. I think part of what you asked too is like, where do I see it going? I mean, gosh, AI is everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like every tool. I mean, there's a shoe company called Allbirds
Yeah.
that abandoned making shoes and now they're an AI company. Like what? It's weird. But I mean, I use AI in my everyday life, right? I use it for searching, like I said, with Perplexity. Help me. So my wife and I went to Ireland this year,
Nice.
and we spent 3 weeks there. Nothing against travel agents, but we want to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
So I used AI tools like Perplexity to give it a prompt, I didn't build like a GPT, but I basically built a GPT, and asked it questions, got recommendations, did some, like, it was great. And then we went out and did our own research from there and said, okay, here's a travel book, here's pricing, here's whatever. So I use it. So I can see the future developing in front of us right now. That is tools that use AI to make our lives easier, to make us move faster as businesses,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully increase revenue as businesses. That's the goal, right? But it's also going to shake things up. As a writer, I'm not simply writing social media posts anymore. I'm using AI tools to give me a whole bunch of them, and then I go in and edit them. I'm becoming more of an editor than a writer.
Yep. Yep.
AI tools for coding. Again, I'm not a developer, but I can build a website with AI, right? Like, I'm not going to get rid of developers. Obviously, but also there are things that we can do that help them do even more cool stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I definitely see that happening, especially in the HubSpot ecosystem. Man, it's exciting what's going on out there.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the actual practicalities that you see. So you've got like you say that internally at Accelerant, you guys are having like little hackathons and stuff like that where people are showing what they're building. Are those are those things that could any agency could use? Are they what are the typical applications, or is it more query based storytelling? Give me this using AI as like a glorified search engine.
Yeah.
Is it more than that, or is it?
Oh, it's definitely more than that. Yeah. Some of the things that I've seen, like we're building AI tools or agents or applications that help us manage our data better, help us distill vast amounts of data, help us again think ahead and think strategically around the corner to say here's what's coming next, etc. It works for us, so we're going to teach our clients how to use it for their business. That's
Okay.
a big part of it, right? Things like, okay, we get to the end of the week and let's say you're managing 30 clients as a consultant. Give me a rundown of what I talked about this week. What was my, and this is kind of like you said, like a glorified search engine. Some of this might sound like that, but I think it's more than that still. What did I talk about most? Can I give that to our marketing team to do something with and create content? So it's helping me. Like the AI becomes a consultant to me.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and that's a little bit that's not a search engine, I mean, for sure, because you're taking your meetings, you hook them into presumably Claude or Perplexity like you're suggesting, and based on what you say, what kind of advice you're giving as in your consulting calls, it's coming up with content for you to then recommend to the marketing team. Okay, so that's a pretty interesting use case. Nice, nice.
Yeah.
And like, are you seeing this happen in while you're consulting, that people are asking you questions about AI and how and what you can do with it, or is it not happening at all? Take me through
Um, yes, but not as much as what AI companies would want. I think,
that.
it's funny because yes, some people do ask about it, right? But they're also at the same time asking about what I would consider very like elementary level CRM tool management, right?
Okay.
If you don't understand the difference between a contact object and a company object and why they're different, but you want AI to tell you how to do X, Y, Z and ABC, I'm like, hold on, let's back up a minute.
Yeah.
Let's get basics first. And so I see the business world in general as, yes, there are some very smart folks and businesses doing really amazing things. And also we're all human. right? We all can't take in all the information and know everything. So, I don't want anybody to ever feel bad that they don't know how to run a CRM because they've barely heard of Salesforce or HubSpot. But that's the truth, right? Like, market saturation seems to be a real thing when you're in the boardrooms of those big companies like Salesforce, HubSpot, Sugar, whatever, right? But in truth, businesses may not have ever heard of those, and so they're still doing spreadsheets,
if that even, right? If that even,
right?
Most
so yeah, I mean,
that stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, people are definitely asking about it. And for those who are a little bit more technologically savvy, let's say, they might say, okay, listen, I've used this other CRM. I'm moving to HubSpot, so I know how to get my data in. I know how to structure things. I know how to think about things like sales sequences, marketing workflows, etc. But I've heard that HubSpot's AI can just build templates for me. Like, can you show me that? Sure, let's talk about that and talk about why and not and blah blah blah. So the AI conversation is definitely going on out there. But it's I'd call it like a 50-50 mix as far as clients who really know it enough to ask the right questions and those who just like either don't know about it, aren't asking, or aren't sure what to ask.
And as an agency, do you see that as an opportunity, like to open the question for them, or do you feel like we'll stay and focus entirely maybe in the CRM or in like the strategy of RevOps or whatever, and then we will perhaps add AI into our own mix, as opposed to maybe getting the organization to think a bit more globally about this thing.
Yeah.
How do you open up that conversation and stuff?
It's definitely an opportunity, right? We see it as an opportunity. I would, and I can't speak for Excellent like at the leadership level, but my perspective as an employee is that we are customer first with an AI bent, whereas I see other agencies that are just AI first, right? Other companies are just AI first. And like, that's no disrespect. That's fine. I believe that the business is more important. I believe that the people at the business are more important. I believe that strategy is more important and AI is one of the tools, right? And that's how I see us as, right? We are definitely, it's an opportunity to say, okay, you haven't said a thing. If I'm in a consulting relationship with somebody, I'm on this journey with them, I might work with them for like 8 to 12 weeks. If I'm in week 3 or 4 and they haven't said a word about AI, definitely an opportunity to say, hey, by the way, we've set some foundations. You're getting it. Let's talk a little about this AI functionality in HubSpot, because here's what you can do with that. Oh, and by the way, if you're looking at other tools, like here's some things, and I tell everybody I'm a HubSpot consultant, not everything else. But let me at least talk to you about integrations with HubSpot or other things you're thinking about. Let me just, again, a strategist.
Yeah. Sure.
And so, I think it's definitely an opportunity for us, and we see it that way for sure. Like, it's an exciting time to be able to say, this is what we've done for you. This is what we're doing. And by the way, have you thought of?
I thought about this.
That's a great.
So like, I mean, what is like I guess the tipping point? I mean, because you're saying that you don't open up the conversation. They don't if they ask about it, unless they ask about it. Are you saying that maybe like a company, like say an agency, maybe needs to stay in that first degree of questions, like the strategies and the whys, and then maybe in the second tier questions is the hows, which is more like AI, or if it's development, like straight coding, or is it like content with AI, or is it operationally? Like, do you put them in different tiers like that, or what?
So me personally, I would say yes to those tiers. If I'm the consultant with a company trying to figure out how to better run their business, their CRM, their sales, all of that, strategy first, in my opinion. Because if we don't talk about strategy, what you think, why you're doing what you're doing, what is your ICP, what is your market, what are your niches, tell me about your buyer personas, all these things that give those strategic foundations. I think you could just come in and be like, well, let's I want to hire an AI agency, just give us AI.
Yeah, before yeah,
right, like garbage in, garbage out, right? I mean,
100%.
So I think that AI is that second level of the tools, the how. I will say though, I do think it's one of the top ones.
Okay.
Right. Like, in part just because we have to. My goodness, if especially if agencies aren't leading that part of the discussion, they're going to be left behind.
Big trouble. Yeah, it's big trouble.
Right. So
very big trouble.
Yeah.
And like, when it comes to like a so does if AI doesn't keep you up at night, what kind of things do keep you up at night? Typically, what kind of problems, situations, challenges, opportunities?
Yeah.
What gets you up early? What keeps you up at night?
I mean, that's an interesting question, Sajeel. What keeps me up at night? Nothing. I sleep really well. Um, I mean, truly, it's hard to say because
Yeah.
things don't keep me up at night, right? And this sounds like super, I don't know, arrogant or whatever, but like
Oh no, no.
I put in a good day's work.
Yeah.
I love what I do, and I walk away. No, I walk away from my desk at 5 o'clock or whatever, thinking, okay, that's done. I'm now going to go live the rest of my life today. I
Mm.
love that. What gets me up in the morning is I love doing that, right? I love helping people. I love figuring these things out. I will say though, like I think the intention of your question is really, really good. What what keeps me thinking? What maybe gets me a little nervous? Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I do think it's AI, to be honest. Like I'm not scared of it. I'm not down on it, but it definitely is intriguing.
Yep.
AI ethics is a big one for me. Again, AI in the environment, and then also how to use it better, and not just take jobs from people, I think is really important. And so I do spend time thinking about that, listening to podcasts about it or reading about it, all of that. And I think really the thing that like that's one thing that is kind of always in my brain. The thing that really lives rent free inside my head is just what does the future hold?
Yeah.
Just that big existential question, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's AI, whether it's wars, whether it's voting, like all these things that are going on around us, and we see so much information about it, right? The internet's amazing, but can I take a break, please? Like, come on. Social media, all of that. Like it just I'll be 50 next year. I don't look forward toward retirement necessarily because I love being active and doing things. But I can see a day where I don't have to work and I get to work, right?
Yeah.
I do love what I do, so I get to work. But also, like I have to pay my bills. But if that time comes, like until that time comes, what I guess keeps me up at night is what's next. What obstacles are next? What opportunities are next? I just don't know. And so that future, as uncertain as it can be, is exciting, but it also it's kind of nerve-wracking sometimes.
So what's your where are you putting your I don't know if you're a gambling person or not, but what are you betting on for the future? Like what are you committing yourself to? What are you focusing your time and energy on for future Dan and all that kind of stuff?
I'm gonna call it community.
Community? Okay. What do you mean by that?
So people, an asterisk here. I'm not saying community in the way that like every business needs to have their own community necessarily. Like if you want to try that, go for it. But what I'm thinking about in general is businesses, my volunteerism, my personal life, all of that. Community is critical. As the job market changes, as the world changes, as politics change, as all of this changes, the important thing that to me, the most important thing is the humans, right? The people that we are. How do we help each other? How do we serve each other? How do we care for each other? How do we do this life thing?
Mm.
And so I'm betting on those. And part of that too is like that's a big existential answer, but here's the kind of more direct thing. The practical answer, I guess, is in business especially, right? Like AI tools, new platforms, all these things that help us run businesses are seemingly trying to replace humans to some degree with tools and automations and that kind of thing. And some of that can be great, right? I think back to, and I'm in Michigan, back in the 80s and 90s, everyone was so worried about robots building cars. Like, yes, some of that happened.
Yeah.
But also, auto workers are still a thing, and they're making really good money, thanks to the unions and everything else. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
But I think about like what does that future look like for us, and what's going to be important, and conversations about strategy, because that's not going to come from an AI bot.
No way. Yeah.
How do I connect with people? Customer education. While I don't need someone to train me on everything, I can do click and point with tools like Scribe or whatever. But it still is asking those questions. It still is finding the answers, um, co- uh, corroborating answers from AI with humans. All of that, and I still think that like people do business with people they get to know, like, and trust. I don't need to pay a person for everything. I can do automated checkout. But also, like, I want to talk to somebody sometimes. So I think
Yeah,
that human aspect, that community that we as humans need to help each other, that's what I'm betting on.
that's what you're bet on. The goodwill of the human race. That's good. It's a good thing to, good place to be. So, Dan, tell me about Accelerant. What are you doing over there, and all that good things? I mean,
Yeah,
what's that been like so far?
man, I am enjoying my time at Excellent already. Like I said, it hasn't been a super long time, um, but I get to work with some really smart people doing really cool work. I love that we are an elite HubSpot partner with the top tier of the HubSpot partnerships. We are working with some really cool clients. I've got all walks of life and different niches in business. I'll say little team, there's I think 6 or 10 of us or something like that. We do the onboardings, trainings, and
Oh,
some light customization. We also have the custom team that does heavier customizations for HubSpot
nice,
users.
nice,
Um, and then like client management, client success, that kind of stuff. So yeah, so we're doing. I mean, we're a HubSpot partner, so we
yeah,
live and breathe HubSpot, and man, I love it. I'm
good.
really enjoying my time here. It's a great partnership, a great partner. Our CEO George is very approachable. He enjoys what he does. You can see it. Like, yeah, it's a really cool HubSpot partner. Yeah, we're big on helping businesses grow smarter.
Which is great.
Yeah,
And where can people learn more about you?
yeah. I mean, Dan Moyle, anywhere you go, I'm at Dan Moyle on all the socials. Basically, danmoyle.com is my website. They'll take you to everything you need to know about me, my past podcast, the work I'm doing, whatever. You Google me, you'll find me. But yeah, danmoyle.com for sure.
Yeah, you're very easy to find, no doubt about that. So, Dan, look, this is a lot of fun. I really appreciate how you went under the hood on so many different topics. Sometimes, the conversation can be a bit superficial, but I was glad that things that with you, you're very sincere in how you answered the questions and how we went through this thing. I learned a lot about, you know, I didn't know, that you wanted to be a CMO. I've always known you as a consultant type of real
Mm.
X's and O's, balls and strikes type of person, not so much, the high in the sky CMO. I never knew that was a desire of yours. So it was really entertaining, and I hope you learn from that part of your journey. Seems like you have. So thanks for coming on and jamming with us about it today.
Happy to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, and everybody, if you like this episode, if you're not just my mom or my aunt, please share it along and stuff like that. Give Dan all your good vibes on LinkedIn or wherever you see him. And this has been another episode of RevOps 500. Thanks everybody for listening. Take care.